Alright, so once again, the death penalty is not proven to decrease violence in states where it is established. It just plain isn't. Look up your statistics. Sorry to have to repeat the point, but she continues repeating the point, so I have to continue responding. Now she goes on to say, as a Christian, we're not ever allowed to kill anyone ever. Fairly straightforward statement there, I'd say. Comma. However, we can kill them if it's state-sanctioned. Okay, so let's skip the fact that that's a horribly worded argument and obviously contradictory in the diction that is used, but I think we all get where she's coming from. So what Kassie Dill is saying is basically going into the biblical commandment that you should obey the laws that are put above you because the laws that are put above you come from God. Now, the major problem you're making here, Kassie, is objecting to laws that you don't like and supporting laws that you do. Now, you approve of the death penalty, of course, as previously stated, just for things that you don't like, basically. And then when someone calls you down for hate speech, you make a big stink out of it. Well, there are laws against hate speech. By your own doctrine, you are expected to obey these laws and respect them as if they came from God himself, which you seem to believe that that's where laws come from. Now, the hypocrisy here is quite overwhelming. You go into saying, like, oh, when I use the words queer and blah, 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 you know, you can be a fag and you can walk down the street with a sign saying, we're here, we're queer, and we're coming for your children. A sign I've never seen, by the way. But if you use the word while you're being hateful. You ever heard of a little thing called the N-word? Do you know that it is at least, and we'll just stop at socially, unacceptable for a non-African American or black person of whatever nation to use that word? Why? Because the connotation is so strongly rooted in hate speech that it is a derogatory word by nature now, regardless of whatever dictionary definition may be listed for said word. Of course, this particular word, the N-word, does not have a past history of beneficial or benign use. The word queer may be a little more of a gray area, but what you're doing is not using a word harmlessly. You say, if I call queers queers, well then they get all angry, but you can go ahead and be a fag and do this and that. Dude, you're being a bigot. You're using hate speech. It's not necessarily just the words that are used. If a guy goes out and says, you know, I think all N-words should be burned at the stake, that's obviously hate speech. Is it because the N-word is used that makes it hate speech? No, it's not. If the same person were to say in the same venue, with the same audience, and in the same situation, all black people should be burnt at the stake, it's still hate speech, regardless of the omission of the much vaunted N-word. I mean, come on, lady. You can't have it both ways. The death penalty, you like, because it punishes people you think deserve to be punished. Fine, I can accept that. But hate speech laws, ooh, you don't like that very much, because it ends up getting you in trouble. Perhaps the best way to get out of this dilemma is not to use hate speech. Hey guys, introducing Samantha. She's kind of a grumpy kitty lately since we got the new kitten, but she's a beautiful black ball of love. Little notched ears because she's a bruiser kitty and she goes out and beats up all the neighborhood kitties. Which I don't think she does that anymore. She used to when we lived in a place with a closed off yard. She's also got a Hemingway cat feature here. Yeah, I know. Look, see the opposable thumb? Look at that. Kitty gives you thumbs up. I don't think she wants to be on camera, so we'll leave her alone for now. But, ladies and germs, introducing Sam. Okay, this has gone on long enough. In closing, Kassie Dill asks, well, if my arguments were so stupid, if my ideas were so stupid, wouldn't you just be able to make a video response debunking my points, explaining why they're stupid, without having to resort to techniques such as flagging? Yes, I would. Welcome to it, lady. Now, the problem is here that when someone calls you a bigot, says you're closed-minded, points out the failures in your arguments, you do one of two things. And I'm going to use you in a very broad sense here because I find you indicative of a large number of, well, fundies. You do one of two things. First, ignore and don't respond. No, excuse me, there are three. First, ignore and don't respond. Two, don't allow said responses, which you, of course, to your credit, do, at least for the most part that I've seen. And three, retreat back to your, yeah, well, you're wrong, I'm not using hate speech, the gays don't deserve my respect, or pick your group, pick your topic. The definition of the word bigot is something that you need to ingrain in your brain. When you speak out against a group of people based solely on the definition of that group and say that they deserve less consideration or less rights than others, you're being a bigot. Now, I know that that is not a formal definition of the word, but I think it serves for common discourse. When you come out and say, the queers do this, the queers do that, all the problems in our country are based on the queer agenda and the gays and the homos and blah, 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 what you're doing is being a bigot. Now, you do make a very brief connotation. What will it next be, hate speech to say I'm brunette? Not likely. Because no one, outside of a joke, is going to use the word brunette as an insult or a derogatory term. I happen to be blonde. Want to know some blonde jokes? What do you call 5 blondes standing side by side? A wind tunnel. Woohoo! Is that hate speech? No, it's a joke. Not a particularly good one, but a joke nonetheless. Saying that the queer agenda is the root of every problem in our country? Excuse me. Very, very different scenario. Alright, guys. I'm going to cut this up. I'm going to put in some kittens. Stealth Badger, I heard you. More kitten on the way for you. And, yeah, that's it. I'll link Cassie Dill's new channel here. And remind everyone that she assures us, and I have no reason to believe she is lying, that Kassie Dill 3 is not her. And I really do tend to believe her based on just what I've seen from the comments and whatnot. So, gentlemen and ladies, Nick's out. I think there's something dangerous under here. Whoop, there it is. Boogie, 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 boogie. Boogie, boogie, boogie. Observe the ferocious attack kitten in its natural habitat, which apparently is under the couch. I know the lighting level's bad, guys, but look, there's a paw. Boink. 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 She likes this game a lot. And look how big it's getting. When I first showed it to you guys, you could pick this thing up in one hand easy. Still can, but it doesn't fit anymore. Oh, and it's a vampire, by the way. The other day, I got numerous little tiny scars and stuff on my hands from her, obviously, but the other day she put a little cut on me that bled a bit and then licked it off. Just a little unnerving. I'm sure it was a sign of affection, though.